After a life-threatening fever, I realized I couldn't afford to fall, because behind me is Truc Lam, a tiny life not yet a year old, waiting for her next meal. Today, my daughter and I head to the Highland Market to find a new friend and write the next chapter of our life in this ancient forest. Don't turn away, because the gift at the end of this video will make you believe in the magic of kindness. Subscribe now to walk this rugged but heartwarming journey with us. The world begins not with light, but with the sound of a lung struggling for air. Inside the stilt house, the air is a thick gray soup of lingering hearth smoke and the damp chill of the high peaks. Trieu Duong lies on his side, his chest rising and falling in uneven jolts. His skin, the color of scorched earth, is slick with a cold, post-fever sweat. The sunstroke from the day before still echoes in his temples, a dull, rhythmic throbbing that matches the slow drip of condensation from the thatched eaves outside. Drip, thud, drip, thud. Beside him, wrapped in a bundle of faded indigo cloth, Truc Lam is a motionless mound. She does not stir. She is a silent sun, cooling in the pre-dawn shadows. Trieu Duong pushes himself up. The wooden floorboards groan under his weight, a dry, splintering protest. He does not look at the child yet. He cannot. To look at her is to acknowledge the hunger that will wake when she does. He reaches for his rubber boots. They are stiff, caked with the dried red clay of a dozen previous treks. He forces his feet into them, the rubber biting into his ankles. He grabs the machete. The blade is dull gray, etched with the scars of stones and hardwood. He tests the edge with a calloused thumb. It does not draw blood, but it is enough. The door creaks open. The outside world is a void of white. Mist rolls over the threshold like a slow-moving flood, swallowing his knees. Trieu Duong steps out. The mountain does not welcome him. It merely endures him. His climb is a sequence of heavy breaths and the metallic thack of the machete clearing vines. The forest is wet. Leaves slap against his face, leaving streaks of cold moisture. He reaches the grove of wild bananas. The trees stand like tattered ghosts in the fog. He finds a tree with a heavy, drooping heart. He swings. The first strike sinks deep into the soft, fibrous trunk. Water sprays from the wound. The second strike is cleaner. The bunch of wild bananas hits the muddy earth with a wet, heavy slap. White sap bubbles at the cut, thick and sticky like curdled milk. He gathers wild fruits, small, hard, and bitter, shoving them into a hemp sack. His movements are mechanical. There is no joy in the harvest, only the grim tally of calories. He hoists the banana bunch onto his shoulder. The weight forces his spine into a curve, his boots sinking deeper into the muck. He turns back. The mist is thinning, revealing the jagged teeth of the limestone crags above. Back at the farm, the silence is broken by the frantic, hollow drumming of wings. The chickens are restless. Trieu Duong drops the bananas by the porch and moves toward the water source. The PVC pipe, lashed together with rusted wire and strips of inner tube, is dry. He follows the line upward to the spring. A mass of rotted leaves and mountain debris has choked the intake. Trieu Duong kneels in the mud. He does not use a tool. He uses his hands. He claws at the black, stinking sludge. His fingernails scrape against submerged stones. He pulls out a clump of matted roots, then a plastic bag brought by some distant wind, then handfuls of grit. Suddenly, the pressure breaks. A surge of brown, muddy water erupts, swirling around his wrist before clearing into a cold, diamond-sharp stream. He watches the water race down the pipe. He washes his hands in the spillway, the skin turning a raw, angry red from the mountain cold. Returning to the house, he hears it, a soft, rhythmic scratching from inside. He enters. Truc Lam is awake. She is on her stomach, her head lifted slightly, eyes tracking a dust mote dancing in a sliver of new light. She does not cry. She is a creature of observation. Trieu Duong approaches. He smells of wet earth and banana sap. He stands over her for a long moment, his shadow engulfing her small frame. He reaches down. His large, scarred hand hovers over her back, then settles with a lightness that defies his bulk. He does not speak. He simply feels the warmth of her through the indigo cloth. The work shifts to the coop. The air here is warm and smells of ammonia and dry straw. Trieu Duong moves with a different kind of silence. He knows where the hens hide their treasures. He reaches into a dark corner, his hand disappearing into the gold-tinted straw. He feels the smooth, oval curve of an egg. It is warm, vibrating with the ghost heat of the bird. He pulls it out, then another. He counts them in his head, a silent ledger of survival. 1, 5, 12, 24, 32. He brings a bamboo basket to the porch. From a sack in the corner, he pulls out handfuls of rice husks. He spreads them across the bottom of the basket, creating a pale golden bed. He begins the ritual of packing. He handles each egg as if it were a fragile skull. He nests them into the husks, ensuring no shell touches another. His fingers, which just hours ago were clawing through mud and swinging steel, are now precise and trembling with care. These eggs are not food. They are the currency of the Saturday market. They are the blue shirt he wants to buy. They are the milk powder in the tin that is currently rattling with emptiness. The next morning, the darkness is even deeper. Trieu Duong secures the basket to the front of his frame and the child to his back. The indigo wrap is tight, binding Truc Lam to his warmth. He takes a staff made of smooth bamboo. The descent to the market is a 3-hour journey of gravity and endurance. The trail is a series of treacherous, slippery switchbacks. Every step is a calculation. If he slips, the eggs break. If he falls, the child breaks. He plants the staff, leans his weight, and moves. The child's breathing is a steady hum against his neck. As they reach the valley floor, the silence of the heights is replaced by the cacophony of the Highland market. The air is thick with the smell of grilled pork, cheap tobacco, and the sweat of many tribes. People in vibrant, embroidered tunics jostle past. Trieu Duong find a patch of dirt near the edge of the textile stalls. He sits. He places the basket before him. He waits. He does not call out like the other vendors. He simply sits with his back against a wooden post, his eyes fixed on a point somewhere beyond the crowd. Truc Lam peers over his shoulder, her eyes wide, taking in the explosion of color. A woman in a pleated skirt stops. She points to the basket. Trieu Duong nods once. She picks up an egg, holds it to the sun, and checks for cracks. She counts out 20. She hands him a small stack of bills, the paper soft and oily from many hands. Trieu Duong takes them. He does not count them in front of her. He knows the feel of the currency. He tucks the money into the deep pocket of his vest, patting it twice. With the basket lightened, he stands. He moves through the market with a newfound purpose. He passes the stalls of plastic buckets and iron tools. He stops at the livestock section. The sound here is a chorus of whimpers and high-pitched yaps. Dozens of puppies are crammed into wire crates, their paws poking through the mesh. Trieu Duong crouches. His eyes scan the litters. He is not looking for beauty. He is looking for a spirit that matches the forest. In the corner of a crate sits a small black dog. It does not bark. It does not scramble over its siblings. It simply sits, its dark eyes watching Trieu Duong with a strange, quiet gravity. Trieu Duong reaches out a finger. The puppy does not flinch. It leans its head into the touch. The trade is quick. A few more bills leave his pocket. He tucks the puppy into the crook of his arm. It is a small, warm weight, its heart beating fast against his ribs. He makes one last stop. At a stall draped in bright fabrics, he points to a shirt. It is the color of the sky just before a storm, a deep, vibrant blue. He feels the fabric. It is soft, unlike the rough hemp he wears. He pays. He also buys a small plastic dog, a toy that yaps and flips when a battery is inserted. It is a garish thing, out of place in the mountains. but he holds it with a strange sort of reverence. The climb back is harder. The sun is now a white-hot eye in the center of the sky. The weight on his back feels doubled. The puppy whimpers occasionally in the hemp sack hanging from his belt. Trieu Duong's breath comes in ragged gasps. He stops by a waterfall that tumbles over a mossy ledge. He does not drink first. He takes a plastic cup, fills it with the icy water, and holds it to Truc Lam's lips. She drinks, small gulps that make her throat move like a bird's. He then lets the puppy lap from his palm. Only then does he splash his own face, the water shocking his system back to alertness. When they finally reach the stilt house, the shadows are long and blue. Trieu Duong does not rest. He sets Truc Lam on a clean mat. He takes the new blue shirt and pulls it over her head. The fabric makes her skin look pale and luminous. He sets the black puppy down beside her. The child and the dog look at each other. The puppy tilts its head. Truc Lam reaches out a hand, her fingers splaying open. She touches the black fur. It is the first time Trieu Duong sees a change in her expression. A slight widening of the eyes, a tiny twitch of the lips that isn't quite a smile, but a recognition of life. Trieu Duong turns away to the hearth. He needs to build the fire. The night is coming, and with it, the frost that bites at the bones. He kneels by the ashes of the morning fire. He shaves thin slivers of fat wood with his machete. He strikes a match. The flame is small, a tiny orange pearl in the gloom. He feeds it twigs, then larger branches of oak. The smoke rises, curling around the rafters. He sets a pot of water to boil. He prepares the milk for the child, measuring the precious powder with a rusted tin spoon. He also prepares a bowl of soft, mashed rice. As the water begins to hum in the pot, Trieu Duong looks back at the mat. The puppy has curled into a ball against Truc Lam's side. The child's hand is still buried in the black fur. The silent sun and the forest spirit are now a single unit of warmth. The fire grows, casting long, flickering shadows of Trieu Duong against the wall. A giant of a man, his back like a jagged cliff face, standing guard over the only two things in the world that matter. The wind begins to howl through the gaps in the thatch, a lonely, hungry sound. But inside, the air is beginning to smell of warm milk and wood smoke. Trieu Duong picks up the bowl of rice. He sits on the floor, his legs crossed, and waits for the water to boil. The day is done. The eggs are gone. The shirt is blue. The child is safe. He watches the flames. His face remains a mask of weathered stone, but his shadow on the wall seems to soften as the heat fills the room. The pot atop the hearth begins a frantic dance, the tin lid clattering against the rim as steam erupts in rhythmic puffs. Trieu Duong does not move immediately. He watches the steam vanish into the rafters, merging with the soot-stained thatch. His hands rest on his knees, broad, scarred, and still stained with the faint residue of the market's dust. He reaches for a thick rag, lifting the pot from the flames. The heat radiates against his face, a sharp contrast to the creeping chill of the mountain fog pressing against the wooden slats of the house. He pours the boiling water into a glass bottle containing the white powder. The liquid turns cloudy, swirling like a miniature storm before settling into a thick, pale ivory. He shakes the bottle. The sound is a dull, wet thud. He tests the temperature against the inside of his wrist, his skin reacting to the heat without a flinch. Across the room, Truc Lam is a small splash of sky blue against the brown of the floor. The puppy, a silent shadow, has moved to her feet. Trieu Duong approaches. He kneels, his joints popping like dry kindling. He lifts the child, her weight familiar and slight. He brushes a stray hair from her forehead, a gesture so brief it is almost invisible. He holds the bottle to her lips. The only sound in the room is the rhythmic click-pull of the child drinking. Her tiny throat moves with a desperate, primal mechanicalness. Trieu Duong's eyes are not on her face, but on the level of the milk, watching it drop, millimeter by millimeter. This is the measurement of her survival. When the bottle is empty, a faint sigh escapes the child, a sound as thin as a reed. He sets her back down and turns to his own meal, a single bowl of rice, cold and slightly charred from the bottom of the pot. He adds a scoop of the wild banana slices he had dried earlier, now rehydrated into a chewy gray mass. He eats with a wooden spoon, the movements repetitive and joyless. He does not sit at a table. He sits on the floor, his back against the central pillar of the house, the backbone of his world. He takes a small portion of the rice, mashing it between his thumb and forefinger until it is a soft paste. He moves to Truc Lam. He does not speak, but he gently presses a tiny bit of the paste to her lower lip. It is a ritual of introduction, the taste of the grain, the scent of the hearth, the reality of the soil that sustains them. The child's tongue flickers out, tasting the starch. Beside her, the black puppy whimpers. Trieu Duong ignores it at first, finishing his own bowl. Then, with the same mechanical efficiency, he scrapes the last remnants of the rice into a cracked ceramic saucer and places it on the floor. The puppy lunges at the food, its small tail whipped into a frenzy of motion. Truc Lam watches the dog, her eyes tracking the movement of its tail. For the first time, her hand twitches, her fingers grasping at the air, as if trying to catch the blur of black fur. Trieu Duong stands and moves to the doorway. He looks out into the night. The valley is gone, swallowed by a sea of white fog that glows faintly under a hidden moon. The air is sharp, carrying the scent of pine resin and wet stone. He hears the distant, mournful howl of a mountain wolf, answered only by the wind whistling through the gaps in his walls. He reaches for a heavy wooden bolt and slides it across the door. Clack. The sound is final. The world is locked out. He returns to the fire. It is dying now, the glowing embers pulsing like a fading heartbeat. He adds one large log of oak, the wood heavy and damp. It hisses, white smoke curling from the bark before the flames find a dry vein and erupt in a roar of orange. He picks up the blue shirt he bought today, the one Truc Lam is currently wearing. He notices a small smudge of mud on the hem. He doesn't wash it. Instead, he takes a dry cloth and rubs at the spot until it fades into the blue. Everything must be maintained. Everything must endure. He prepares the sleeping area. He spreads a thick, hand-woven wool blanket over the mat. He places Truc Lam in the center. He moves the puppy to the foot of the blanket, but the small creature immediately crawls back, tunneling under the indigo cloth to press its warmth against the child's side. Trieu Duong leaves them. He lies down on the bare wood beside them, his body a barricade between the family and the door. He does not use a pillow. He rests his head on his folded arm. His eyes remain open, staring at the rafters. He thinks of the chickens, the water source he cleared, the 32 eggs that became a blue shirt and a black dog. The cycle is closed. The ledger is balanced for one more day. The firelight flickers, casting his shadow across the child and the dog. In the distortion of the flames, his shadow looks like a gnarled tree, its branches spreading wide to shield the small sprouts beneath it. The cold begins to bite deeper. Trieu Duong pulls a rough hemp coverlet over his shoulders. He listens to the breathing of the child, short, light, and steady. He listens to the soft snore of the puppy. These are the sounds of his wealth. Hours pass. The moon must be high now, though it cannot be seen through the fog. The fire has settled into a deep crimson glow. Trieu Duong's eyes finally close, but his ears remain tuned to the house. A shift in the child's breath, a scratch from the puppy, a change in the wind. He will hear it. In the silence of the high forest, the house is a tiny glowing ember in a vast, frozen dark. Inside, the man with the stone face and the calloused hands dreams of nothing. He only waits for the first hint of gray light to hit the thatch, so he can rise, take his machete, and begin the struggle again. The silent sun sleeps, the forest spirit sleeps, and the man who stands between them and the void breathes in the scent of smoke and cold air, his heart beating with the slow, heavy rhythm of the mountain itself. The forest is quiet tonight, This small stilt house now breathes with the presence of a new member. A blue shirt, a little dog. That is our entire fortune today. I still don't know what to name this little puppy to make it truly meaningful. Please help me by leaving a name suggestion in the comments below. Every one of your thoughts is an invaluable source of encouragement for us. Don't forget to hit like if this video brought you a sense of peace. I'll see you at the next market session. Wishing you all a restful night.